Hello, welcome everyone to 2020. Wonderful. Here it is, our first Wisdom Wednesday of the year. We have Jonah Martin Lyon with us today talking about communal efforts and what it means to be a part of a community and how your contributions is the effort that we put into projects together in collaboration and cooperation. So welcome, Jonah. If you could please share a little bit about you and what you do in the world.
Awesome. Well, aloha, Anistara. I am coming in here live from Maui. And as you can see on the name there, the Jedi Alliance is currently the LLC that I'm have created. And essentially, it is a decentralized autonomous organization, a D.A.O of many organizations that are have come together as an alliance, to really, so that we're in a space of sovereignty where we're co-creating, and what we are co-creating together, that it's not like come in and like do what, be on this ship, but rather be the captain of your own ship. And that there's all these ships that are in this like armada working together to be in community, to be in reverence to Mother Earth, to Gaia, to really bring forth the proper stewardship. As Jedi, we're here to be in service, to be in stewardship, to be in protection of our culture, our humanity, our natural resources, the elementals, and be in full reverence, together. And I like using a playfulness of acronyms of like welcome home, and that is like we experience love connecting our manifested energy, honoring our Mother Earth. And I would say that like my deep calling as a Jedi master is in being a warrior, and that warrior essence is we are radically remembering initiations of reverence, and so to be in a state of rites of passage, initiation, moving through our life and our lifetimes, and really calling ourselves in and up, and doing the work within, so that then can be externalized. And that's why I love the principle of communal effort. And when that came in, we share that principle, in the Jedi Alliance and the Academy. We have our principles that we're founded on. There's 12 principles, and one of those principles is communal effort. And so we have many in common. So definitely love the alignment here. So thank you for having me on this 11/11 Unify and bringing the new year in together with you.
Oh, yes, brother. I so appreciate that. Oh, can you tell us a little bit more about Jedi Alliance and the work that you're doing and the projects that you might have planned for this year?
Yeah, so literally right now, we just are in conversation on looking at a piece of property to come in stewardship, and it was remarkable. Like the universe just kind of like said, okay, it's time to make a transition, and there's so many of us that are in this field right now, really wanting to live in community. And yes. So we're like, well, let's take a look. And I went on Craigslist of all places, right? And there was one listing that was underneath the for sale by owner in there. And where there's a group of 8 of us that we already had organized to come together and have a conversation around what this looks like. And on that same day, prior to us coming together, I come across this listing, and we ended up meeting for 45 minutes. We went out to the property, and it was literally like the perfect situation to be able to not only have the land, but also to have the tools to do the work, to really bring forth what it is to be in contribution and to be in service, And so there we have projects on the island where we're really focusing in on Maui being our main economy throughout the past for multi-generations has been around tourism. And that needs to come in and be reformed and reshaped and transformed into ecotourism, so that we're more conscious in living in reverence to the earth and to be contributing our energy to the Aina and to take care, and what we call Malama Aina here, caring for the Aina, that which feeds us, caring for the earth, caring for the water, caring for the air that we breathe, caring for each other as community. And so, we need a headquarters for that, and so I've been really bringing together a lot of the leaders, the Jedi here on Maui, as well as internationally. But here on Maui, we come together, we meet every full moon, and we mastermind a bit about what are the initiatives and projects that we want to do. So we have ecotourism. We're doing like training adventures where we initiate youth through rites of passage, and to get out and get ourselves into nature, kind of do recon while we're out there. We get to see like, hey, what areas of the island need to get picked up, and cleaned up for beach cleanups. And there's a lot of focus on beach cleanups, but there needs to be also focus on all the other parts of the island, because that is, littered and trash in other parts ends up in our waterways, in our streams and rivers, that end up on the beach, end up in our ocean, and so on and so forth. And so doing our land-based operations and cleaning up the jungle and cleaning up our sacred sites and everything being sacred. So
Yes, indeed. Well, it sounds like you have a lot on the forefront, and I so appreciate it. And so much of the 1111 Community Network and what we're co-creating and weaving together to create our collective future Earth vision, so much of it is around having these specific sustainable land-based projects where we can live in community, we can live off the land, and we can create our permaculture gardens and live organically as much as we can in communion together, in harmony with the land and with each other. And so that brings us into the idea of communal efforts. Here, there are a lot of projects that have already occurred where we can look to these communities for examples, things that worked, things that didn't work, etc. And what happens when I look at all these other projects that people have done is starting to see a common thread between all of them and all the, how should I say, roles that each community member can play or be a part of. And yes, there are things that some people specialize in, and yet part of communal effort is that each and every person rotates through those roles, and that we all have the opportunity to hold each piece of the puzzle as a community. So what would be some of the things that you envision or that you see in, say, for instance, your future land-based project in Maui? What are some of the roles, some of the pieces of the puzzle that you feel people could fill?
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that, right? I mean, the architecture within the community, and
yes,
and the roles, sharing those roles brings about the reverence and the respect and honoring of all of those roles, where if I have an opportunity where maybe I come in and I'm working in my strength, but have an opportunity to work with something that is my weakness, and receive mentorship and come in on like an apprenticeship with somebody else's strength. And that brings about like a principle that we work with is like the each one teach one principle, and each of us have things to teach each other as we pass that torch on, and that builds us up where then we're have like kind of this holistic expression and skills and tools to go from, maybe I start off and I'm working in a state of like the governance, like I like using the wheel of co-creation to help with the architecture in there, so maybe it's like working with the governance within the community, and then, moving from there and going in, okay, well, I need to learn more about media and communication, and going over and working in that field, or maybe going in and working as the role of the economics within the community, and then jumping in the role of health, and so seeing like that being the roles and how what wants to be expressed through me, channeling that play, that realm, right? What does that look like for me? What can I bring as a piece of wisdom to economics, for instance. It may be some very different than somebody else's perspective and what wants to come through, as their wisdom generated and their perspective and experience around the same topic. And so, seeing it from that standpoint, obviously then grounding that into the very essence of the community. What's the community intention? That centralizes, if you will, that we all kind of, okay, why are we in community right now? So that's where the energy gets directed, and we're co-creating with that, anchoring us in that kind of pillar, right? That's like the Jed, the central pillar of it. And then, with what we're looking at right now, we have, there's 100 fruit trees on this property already on 2.5 acres. And so amazing. There's, the growing of food, and the more food that we grow, the more sovereign that we are, not only in our community, but also how we can support the rest of our community to move into that as well, so that we're not dependent upon anybody to give us our very needs, and food, water, and shelter. That's at a base level, that if our needs are met, then we can really, really thrive and co-create together.
Indeed. When Andrew and I were visiting the Golden City in February of last year, it is a conscious, sustainable land-based project on the island of Sumbawa in Indonesia. And while we were there, they fed, I think, about 43 people over a series of 4 days that we were there. And there was no waste. No waste. They had glass jars for rice and beans and oats and whatever they needed in the kitchen. They would go and catch the fish. They would have coconuts delivered via truckload. And the only thing that they had was a few cardboard boxes that, like, bulk vegetables or fruit that needed to be supplemented from the local farmers market. Otherwise, they grew everything on the land. And it was beautiful to see so many people being fed and nourished and not producing any waste. And so here it is. We had our young child with us, and he loves the little juice boxes, right? And when we're traveling, we need something that's compact, and it's not like I have a refrigerator where I can like juice a bunch of vegetables and fruit and put it in the fridge. And so between our family of 3, we had these little packages that created more waste than we did of a kitchen of 40 people. And I honestly was like, oh my gosh, this needs to shift in our life. This needs to change. First of all, we took it with us. We put it all in our bags and we took it with us. We weren't going to leave it there. And the second piece was really, what does it take to create that? And for me, one of the things that really came up was when we live in community, that we can buy things in bulk. Right? So you can buy a barrel of rice, you can buy, this, and everybody as a family can come and divvy it out and have it for each individual household. But essentially, you can buy things that don't include all these small little packages that we're so used to seeing. And again, that creates less waste. For instance, my son opened a bag of potato chips the other day, and the bag was this big, but there was this many chips in it. And what would be amazing is to actually go to these companies and say, can you reduce your packaging down to actually what fits the product? And that alone would reduce packaging. So you talked a bit about beach cleanup. What are some of the things that you find the most trash-wise? I know that straws are a big issue, plastic. And so part of communal effort is cleaning up our environment. And I was just curious if you can give us a little more details on your experience with that.
I thank you for sharing all of that right there. That's, first of all, I just, want to salute and acknowledge that detail oriented, and have really dug that deep into how to just almost to completely eliminate waste. That is permaculture, that is really living with the earth, and there nothing is waste. I remember one of my favorite signs at Beloved Festival, which is another beautiful festival that really has a low level of waste for a festival, you know, of all places. And but the sign was like, there is no away, you know, and right. And it's like, there's this, our words are so powerful, and it's like, you know, throw that away, you know, throw it away. We'll just throw that away. And it's like, what does that even mean? You know, like, let's track that away down, like because it leaves our garbage can, you know, in our house and goes into a bigger can that gets picked up by a truck, baby. And then that truck is picking it up from all of the thousands upon thousands of houses throughout the week. And then it's like, where does that go? You know, and it's going into, you know, basically into landfills, you know, and the ocean, you know, and, you know, living on an island that doesn't have, Maui doesn't have a proper recycling program here. It doesn't have proper waste management. So they're taking, you know, there's barges of trash that just gets taken out into the ocean and dumped into the ocean. You know, so this level of really being aware of like the waste management, you know, we really need to focus in on that waste, on managing our waste to the point where like the buying in bulk, you know, to reuse the containers that the bulk comes in, you know, the very like, you know, 5-gallon bucket, you know, of rice
rain catchment,
bulk, right, is rain catchment, or a planter for a tree, you know, or a utensil to go and do a beach cleanup or something like that, you know, a container for that. I mean, that's what I use. I use a 5-gallon bucket, my pickup sticks and move, you know, I call it my lightsaber, you know, and I go out and I like, and I pick up and it's, you know, you brought up things like straws, right? One of the most tormenting things I saw was a straw lodged into the nostril of a green sea turtle, and they were pulling. The video was like them pulling that out of the nostril of this sea turtle, right? This ancient wise being, you know, and such a beautiful being, and you can see the tears of pain in the sea turtle's eyes, and then thinking about how long is this straw, you know, and we've been giving straws out like every time we go to eat somewhere. It's like we're putting straws into plastic cups, and we're not, the awareness around like what happens to that after we're done drinking that beverage. What happens to that vessel? It gets thrown into the trash. It gets taken away to a dump that ends up either in our earth for thousands of years, because plastic doesn't just dissolve, and it leaches into our soil, polluting our soil for new stuff to grow, or it ends up in our oceans and killing our wildlife and the natural habitat of the ocean. And so it's, you know, right. And I feel you, sister. It's like, it's so painful. There's like, you know, the feeling, the compassion to have for ourselves, for our brothers and sisters in the animal kingdom, for all of the plant nation and the animal nation, and like, you know, we're all relatives, you know, we're all here together, and to think of that turtle as my relative, now all of a sudden I become much more aware of, again, like I'm seeing it as a relative with this happening. And so, you know, when I'm on cleanups, the things that I clean up the most, yes, straws, McDonald's straws, to be exact. You know, it's usually fast food restaurants straws, the cups, because usually it's a cup and a straw that gets put out there in the waste. Alcohol bottles, whether they be glass or plastic, but alcohol containers, plastic ice bags, you know, from coolers that are probably holding other containers, you know, for beverages, and again, coming back to what you were just speaking to, like the singularities of it, and not in a good way, but like, right, just like one, how many cans? We got the 6-pack and 12-pack and 24-pack and all this stuff, and it's like, where does all that go? And it ends up, picking up and leaving no trace, or leaving it better than we found it, is one of the most eye-opening, enlightening experience one might have, because we get to see what is happening, what we're doing in a very like interactive way. It's just like, oh, this is what's on the ground. Like, I'm cigarette butts. God, the amount of time I've spent cleaning up cigarette butts, because it's just like these small little tiny things. They're everywhere. You think about the fires that have been started from people throwing cigarette butts. And we literally know that like cigarettes are not healthy for us, right? Alcohol is not healthy for us. Fast food's not healthy for us. So the very things that aren't healthy for our bodies is what usually ends up out there trash. So we're trashing our body and we're trashing the earth, right? It's the same direct relationship.
Yep. Well, it's a certain level of unconsciousness too, right? It takes a certain level of mindfulness to just, I'm just going to take one extra step and put that effort into my own bag and take it with me, rather than putting it on the ground. And it's so interesting because when you're in an island environment, we love going to Bali and Thailand. And when we go to Thailand, they will literally serve you a drink with like 3 straws in it. And we had to start learning the phrase. I can't remember it at this moment, but we had to learn the Thai phrase of please no straw, because we have our own like folding out, aluminum straw that we bring with us. And it's just attached to a carabiner. And it's extraordinary. Even after you ask to not bring it, they'll still bring it sometimes. And it's just this level of unconscious of just like, oh, I'm done with this, throw it away. Oh, I'm done. And like you said, where is a way? Where is a way? What if a way is like inside your house? If we all collected our own waste for an entire year and didn't put it away, and you actually can witness what it is that you create. I mean, that would be extraordinary. That would be a lesson that I think anyone with half a brain would start to understand. Anyhow, so that's one piece I think is of communal effort, is just picking things up. Even if you're walking in a parking lot at a grocery store and you see a piece of trash, pick it up, please. Pick it up, put it somewhere else. Put it where it belongs, at least. And to me, that's a huge piece of communal effort. Another piece is really, as you said, living off the land and having these organic gardens, being able to nourish yourself. My husband and I have a beautiful garden on our property. It's not thriving at this moment because it's the middle of winter. And yet all through spring and summer, we ate out of that garden every day. And it supported us in such a way that if the crap really hit the fan and all the stores closed, I know I could still eat. And to me, that was the most self-governing, sovereign, self-reliance move that we can make. And when you're in a community and you're all doing it together and you get to create this food together, it's less work for each person, and yet each person gets to still thrive and enjoy it. So what are some of your favorite, if you will, like permaculture practices? Like, is there anything in particular in a gardening environment that you're like, this really works?
Yeah, while you're sharing that, what was coming up is this, farm to table. Of literally like whatever's growing in the farm, whatever's growing in the garden, it goes like straight to the table. And not only does that cut down the need for packaging types of things and vessels to put it in, for long term, but it also, there's this living vitality. The Ital way, the Vital way, right, is like that life force energy that's in that plant, in that fruit, in that vegetable, whatever's growing, gets directly placed into my body. And it's such a different feeling, like eating that way than eating food that is the life force energy has been gone. It's been processed and packaged and put away and stored and different chemicals added to it for preservation of it, for shelf life, and all these things, and so it just it enriches our very way of being, the much higher energy, sleeping better, stress lowered down, the cancerous toxins and things like that are eliminated. It's these are all beautiful practices, like you said. When you have when you're living in community, it's much easier. There's ease and grace, there's enjoyment, like being out there and having some music playing, and like getting our feet and hands into the soil, and just seeing with such an immediate type of thing of like the work and the tending to that garden coming back. There's this feeling of like just connection, of really being fully connected with our home. That's why home is like honoring our Mother Earth. Like, this is our home. Our home isn't just the houses that we live in, but it's this entire earth plane that we all get to exist on, called life. We have a 1 in 400 trillion chance of existing, of life, of being here. And it's like, what to really honor and pay reverence to that is through our practice, and it's a learning thing, like that's why we're looking at this property now, because I feel you. Like every time we go to Costco, it hurts my heart, but that's like one of the only places on Maui, that has a lot of the things that we need, other than like the small scale farmers markets, but we kind of do both. It's like this interesting balance of, it's like Costco and farmers market, and it's like, I would like to eliminate Costco, and even call Costco in and up to a higher level of, you're a huge warehouse, why not do everything in bulk? Where it's like they have their own Kirkland brand, it's like, you have your own brand, do things in bulk, because we watch people come here and they buy like the racks of bottled water, so they walk away and got 3 cases of bottled water for the week that they're here, so it's like, each individual plastic bottle, like where does that end up after you're done, one's done drinking that? Well, it ends up all over the place. That's the other main ingredient that I pick up when I'm moop monstering, and last thing I wanted to share on that too is that is one of our primary initiatives with the Jedi Alliance at the moment. Is every Saturday we do a cleanup. And then on every last Saturday, our goal is to get this to be an island-wide community of Maui, where everyone in Maui, every last Saturday, we just all, like, this is our home. Maui's our home right now. We all go out and we clean up our house. We clean up our home. We're all doing it together. We all see each other doing it. It's a community builder. It's fun. Let's play some music. And let's have a good time, dress up in bananas and pajamas and get some work done.
You and your banana. Oh my gosh. It's so good. I love it. He wears this banana costume and it's just hysterical when he wears it. You're not sure if you should take him seriously or not. And it's such good humor. I love it. And something that came up when you were saying this is, where are the guidelines, or but need I say laws, that can shift some of this? Like, for instance, in Bali, they've totally banned plastic bags. As an island, they don't allow plastic bags. And so in Maui, the single serving fluids gosh, wouldn't that be amazing if they can ban those? And they just don't exist. Like, you can go and get a 5-gallon jug filled up, and then you have your own water bottle, and that's it. Like, that's the law, you know? That would be amazing. So things like this is takes communal effort to create. Yes, darling.
You know, we have one of our like, I definitely consider him a Jedi Knight level here on Maui, Kevin Watkins. He started up multiple businesses, but one of them is Plastic Free Maui. And so he went right in, directly started building relationships with county council members and those who are writing the laws, you know, in to like get them to get behind putting these flow water stations all over the island, which now we can refill, you know, our bottles, and then also, you know, like retailing, you know, beautiful like stainless steel artistic, you know, bottles that can just be, you know, everyone can drop into that and get their stainless steel bottle. You know, maybe it's we really like broadcast that Maui is now a plastic free, you know, island. You know, no more single-use plastics are not allowed. No more plastic bags. I know a lot of that in like grocery stores and restaurants and stuff like that. Like we have taken the steps towards eliminating the plastic straws, you know, and the plastic bags and the styrofoam and stuff like that. You know, so there's movement that way, and so we are definitely taking those steps, and more can be done. And I think what I'm hearing from you is the more communal effort that comes in to really make that a priority for the politicians and those in leadership who are having the new legislation writing the new legislation, can, you know, they know that that's what the community is asking for. They feel the pressure, you know, that doesn't burst pipes, but that makes diamonds, you know, and let's you know, let's step into that. And I've actually called myself into that space where my intention is to run for mayor of Maui in 2022. You know, so that I can like team with the council that is now coming in, the candidates that are coming in that are much more Malama Aina focused, permaculture, culture period, retaining the Hawaiian culture, being in aloha, you know, spreading that, really, you know, focusing in on education and proper agricultural practices, not degradation of our soils and farming, but all of that, so that we can move the legislation quicker too, because that's where a lot of the stickiness comes up. Is like, we see it in all governments, you know, where it's like, you know, you have the House and the Senate aren't getting along, and the president or this member here, and they're all in there bickering and yammering, and nothing's really, you know, taking place. And so laws, either the wrong laws are getting passed, or the ones that would be good are stuck somewhere in the paperwork, you know, and this, wherever that shelf is, right, in the record.
Goodness. Yeah, hallelujah. Hallelujah for that one.
Yes, hallelujah.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I really see happening now is because of the state of the world. I mean, I live in California at the moment, and there is no eating out. Like, you can't even eat out on a patio right now. So everybody who wants any food other than making it at home but making it at home is to go. And there's all these little everythings and all those little sauce containers with the lid and the we are extrapolating, exponentially growing our trash right now because of what's occurring between the masks and the hand sanitizer little bottles and the to-go food. And it's like, we're just making it worse right now. Like, how is this really helping the environment? And to really take a look at how, as a community, we can shift this and turn this around, because it actually, it hurts my heart sometimes to think about where we're going, and if this were to continue for like another year or so, where we would be trash wise at the end of this it's very concerning to me. So yeah, all solutions that we need to discuss and come up with, and I just so
Put
appreciate
into
what you
action.
are saying and how, yeah, putting it into action. Exactly. That's such a huge piece, and involving the kids. I know that you're a father, and it's so important, myself as a mother, to teach the young ones, don't put that on the ground. Like, I'm sorry, did you just roll down the car window and throw something out? Like, this is not how we treat Mother Earth. We must take good care of her. And I literally, Cadence will walk through a parking lot, pick up trash and put it in a trash can.
Yeah.
Because we're teaching our future leaders how to treat Mother Earth. And anyhow, as a father, can you speak to some of the practices or some of the things that you're instilling into your daughter, and like when you share with her
Yeah.
more about communal effort and cleanup and all the things, like what is she learning from you?
All of that, like
Yeah.
every Jedi principle that we have, like we play games with it. So like she knows all 12 principles, and now she's in this space of like,
Oh,
how does she embody those?
yeah.
And I've even turned it into where it's a sacred economy even in the house, like when she cleans up her room or something like that, that she'll get it, like leave it better than you found it, token, and then she can redeem those tokens for a popsicle, or
Right.
something
I
that
love
she'd
it.
like, so now she's
Fabulous.
learning about currency and exchange,
Uh-huh.
and from her contribution and service, that she can get things that she would like, and I love what you're saying, like with cadence, and like when we're teaching them these things, like when we do it, they pick that up, so it's
Mm-hmm.
like they're sponges. They like, we get to model it. There's one thing to, like,
Yeah.
again, talk about it, but if we're not acting it out, we're not modeling it, then
Yeah.
it doesn't have the real grounding, um integration, and practice of what,
Mm.
an embodiment of what that looks like,
Mm.
and
Mm-hmm.
it's so, I mean, for our kids, especially at the ages that they're at, when any age, other kids, parents, when they see somebody at 4 or 5 years old picking up, and like picking up trash, it's like now all of a
Yeah.
sudden they're like, oh, that's awesome. Maybe they know that they can do it. They feel very like, oh yeah, this is something that I can totally do now.
Oh,
And
exactly.
it's such a, Zola gets so excited about it. Like she's like, let's, she'll point stuff out, she'll pick stuff up. She doesn't hesitate either of like, ew, it's just like, if it's Moop, she'll pop a, like, she's a Moop monster, at 4 years
I
old.
love
She's a,
it.
she's a Moop monster. And
Yep.
and so I know that that one of the things that it's like, a child shall lead the way, and our
Mm-hmm.
our, our children, they are the next, leaders, and so by
Mm-hmm.
instilling these practices in them at an early age, it will be
Mm.
embedded in them, when they
Yeah.
get to be of adults, and really bringing this down, and starting up their own, um, businesses and organizations and projects and movements that they'll be
Yeah.
facilitating, that this all these practices will be part of that, and so, um
Yep.
it's great, it's a
It's
lot of
cool.
fun. We dress up. I mean, you're talking about the bananas. She dressed up. We went out the other day, and she had on her whole like dragon onesie, so she had on this like dragon cape and this dragon, like the hood on, and we're dragging a wagon to pick the trash up, so we
Yeah.
had a wagon, so we're like dragging a wagon, right? So she's
Oh,
in
I
the
love
wagon.
it.
I got the Ion Bluetooth speaker blasting out some funky beats and playing music,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we're picking it up, and we're having a good time, and a whole, like, another family came in, and they're like, when do we do this? Like, we want to do this.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
another father and his daughter, and they wanted to jump on board, and it becomes, now there's this attraction and this like innate desire to participate, right? As another guy in principle is like, how do I get involved? And I want to participate in that, because that's awesome.
It's inspirational. Yeah. Cadence and I, we had an extra bag with us one day at the beach. Oh gosh, what beach were we on? I think we were on Purnama Beach in Bali, and we're walking around and picking up trash and filling up the bag, and it got bigger and bigger, and finally it got to the point where it would rip if I put any more in it. And this family came over and then like, oh, here, gave us another bag. And then they started putting things into the bag that I was holding, and I'm just like, the kids, they inspire others. They really do. And as you say, we can learn so much from them. I mean, my son has taught me so many things in my life, including communal effort, in the sense of it takes a village to raise a child. We as parents, A, need some time off periodically, and B, get to a point where sometimes our instruction is not enough. Like, they need the aunties and the uncles and the ambassadors of art, or the ambassador of trash picking up being. It's like they love input and guidance from their aunties and uncles. And so I know we don't have all that much time left, but I wanted to speak into that because you are a father and because I am a mother. Where do you see the raising of our children as a community effort?
That's juicy right there. I got a bunch of chills from that question right there. Well, to speak into that, one of the main reasons why we chose Maui is because the ohana is a very real thing
family.
here. It's a family, like we refer to, aunties and uncles. If it's an elder to me, I auntie and uncle, and then I can be an auntie and uncle to another keiki, and it's like, it's one big family. So there is that type of consistent relationship, interaction, this beautiful like social alchemy, that takes place, that's family oriented, and the kids get so much guidance that does come from all of these experiences, and that just enriches their lives even more. I see it all the time, and that's where, like, for me, the focus around the Jedi Academy comes in, is to really like to bring in the masters of these different domains, through the experience, that can be guides and support, the passing of knowledge, of wisdom, like we're discussing right now. Knowledge and action put together make wisdom. I can have all the knowledge in the world, but if I'm not using it or applying that knowledge, then it's not wisdom. It's not true wisdom. It's just information. And so I think that right now, we have so much information. We're almost too complicated, as a society, in some ways. And so to bring some simplicity into that, to make it to the point where it is understandable, where a child can understand what the message that we're conveying and that we want to pass on, and these principles, like, communal effort and leaving it better than you found it, and radical inclusion and participation and radical self-expression and radical self-reliance and civic responsibility, and cooperation, is like all these things get, and regeneration and immediacy and consent, right? And which is another massive one right there, that we've been, it's like when Zola and I are out and about, she loves to stop and smell the roses, and flowers and fruits and like that. And so I constantly reminding her, and it's also reminding myself that before I pick a flower, or a fruit, that I pay reverence to that tree or plant and ask consent for
Yeah.
its fruit, and
Yeah.
in the same way of like being with the land, like, like asking the land, like, hey, may we be here, right now, and the land's always speaking to us, as you said, through the waters, through the air, through the interaction with the environment. And so the Jedi Academy is organized elementally in that way, so that we're literally they're consciously interacting with the elementals. So if I'm creating something, I'm desiring to create something, that I go, is this gonna is what's the water have to say around what I'm creating right now? What's the air got to say about that? What's the earth got to say about that? And what's the fire got to say about what it is that I'm thinking about creating? And if I get a go ahead from all of that, then let's do it. It's in the regenerative nature of nature itself. It's like we're working with that, being in the circle of life. And so that's where I see like the communal effort is, with our children and the next generations coming in, is to simplify some things, so that we have a strong foundation and way of communicating, to each other, that allows for the a beautiful interaction, with within ourselves, with our family, with our ohana, with the environment, that we're looking at, the birds and the bees and the trees and the creatures in the sea, and like all of it is like that we're all one. We're all unified.
All connected through the divine matrix. And honestly, when I think of being in community and all living together and families helping families, some parents will get a night off here or there because their child is being taken care of by somebody else. And when we're living in these like individualized nuclear family homes, separated by many miles from each other, doing these kinds of things can be more challenging. And so living on one property together, where you're growing your food together and you're caring for your children together, you're educating your children together, you're governing yourself, then to me, this is the next true step in living in community together and creating that future earth vision that we all really do desire in our deepest soul. Just like living in peace and harmony together and with the land, as you say, your home, honoring Mother Earth. So Jonah, I so appreciate your time. I'm wondering if you have any final thoughts you want to share with us before we say goodbye.
Final thoughts are, to really be feeling the oneness, to come in and to anchor in and being, one with the earth, to be one with ourself, to know thyself, and to become one with the sun, and pay reverence to the sun and the moon and the stars and the everything, all that is, it brings us into being one with our truth, and and so that's that oneness is where it all, seeing the connection, that everything is connected, to look back, like every generation that came before us and that will come after us, is we're all connected, all races, all beings, all sentient life is all connected. And so what we do in as in our own realm is going to have a cause and effect, right? There's going to be some type of response. And so we really come with love and peace, and unity, as a intention, that's what we'll be able receiving also from the field, and doors will open up, and relationships like what we have just to get nurtured and nourished, and our kids begin to like also come up in that environment, and like keeping the family together it's hard work, to like and so living in community, that's what we've done so long in the past when things were much more harmonious. It was a village. It took a village, and all parents get their time to work and or to play, and be in our inner child, and the children get to play with each other and play with aunties and uncles, and everyone's just being in joyful co-creation. And this is why community is what we do all desire, is because we're communal people, and it's going to take effort. It's not an easy thing to make the transition and the quantum leap that we're being asked to take right now. It's hard because we get to let go of all the programs, and all of the things that we feel like got us here. And the beauty of it is, let's give thanks to that. Like, we got here. We have all the infrastructure, technology, tools, resources, abundance that we need. We have all of it right here now. So now let's go ahead and let's just put it into action. We have free energy technology. Let's deploy it and give it to the people. We have, farming techniques that where we can blossom food for the world with ease and grace in a joyful way. Like, let's deploy that, and the technology will give us more time to create and keep creating in a good way, so let's be in that, like, use the technology wisely. I want to bring that up in this moment of wisdom. Let's use our technology wisely so that it is something that's working for us, not us working for it.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. Mahalo, brother. Ahomi Takwiyasa, most certainly. And so grateful to get a hold of the Jedi Alliance and your website or email address. If you could share that with us, please.
Yeah. So
so go ahead and spell it out for us. Your website.
Okay.
Go ahead and spell out your website for us. Yeah.
All right. The website is Jedi Alliance, Jedi with a D. That's its original spelling. And .life. So Jedi Alliance .life is the website. It will be under construction soon enough, because I'm bringing in a web developer so that it's much more interactive. In its current form, it'll at least give a good presence of what we're building here. So it's a nice, beautiful envisioning experience. And then we're going to make it where it's interactive so that we can start being in full communications. And we have working with a brother, Adam Apollo, right now on some deep network technology. Like, the Jedi bring the best of the best, on the technology. So that will be part of it. And it'll also have a link to the Jedi Academy that you can get through by going to this website. And yeah, and I'm also we'll have a Facebook presence as well, and a group there for communications and getting the technology to be up to speed and really help us support.
Awesome. Well, you can check it out, JediAlliance.life. Thank you so much, Jonah, for being with us and our 1111 community network. You can join the public Facebook group. You can also go to our private membership portal at 1111community.com. And there you can get a 14-day free trial to join our community and get amazing content and mastermind calls throughout the month. And just so grateful for the community that's coming together to network, to co-create our future Earth vision together. We also are stepping into the space of, we're a nonprofit and we would love communal efforts. Any kind of energy or abundance you want to send our way, go ahead and write us an email or send us a PayPal payment. That link is right there below, PayPal at tillumination.com. So transdimensional illumination, 501c3. Your donations are tax deductible. So appreciating you, brother Jonah. So love you and love to the family. Mahalo. And good day, everyone. Welcome again to 2020 Wonderful, where we get to create our future Earth vision together. Bye.